Days passed on the celestial dawn. Olivia and Princess Lyran fell into an unusual routine. They shared meals, walked through the ship gardens, and spent evenings talking about their different worlds. At first, Olivia felt like she was just doing her duty for human and Valyrian relations. But slowly things began to change. During their third week together, Olivia took the princess to the observation deck at what humans called midnight. The room was empty and dark, except for the light of distant stars. "I come here to think," Olivia said. "It's quiet, and the view reminds me how small our problems really are." The princess moved close to the large window, her skin reflecting the starlight in beautiful patterns. "On my world, we have a similar place, a high tower where one can see 3 moons and countless stars. Our poets say the night sky is where the soul finds truth." Olivia smiled. "Maybe our species aren't so different after all." The princess turned to her. "Do you believe that, Lieutenant Mason? Do you truly think a species as ancient as mine could share something meaningful with humans?" The question caught Olivia off guard. "I think understanding comes from finding common ground." "Yes, we look different. Our technology and history aren't the same, but we both look at the stars and feel something that has to mean something." The princess' skin shifted to a warm gold color. "That answer is why I chose you as days turned into weeks." Olivia noticed changes in how the crew treated them. At first, there had been stares and whispers. Now many greeted the princess warmly. Some even sought her out with questions about Valyrian culture. Officer Paige Kelly became a regular companion, joining them for meals and offering to show the princess different parts of the ship. Medical officer Beth Martinez invited them to the medical bay, explaining human biology and healing practices. The princess absorbed everything, asking thoughtful questions that showed real interest. One day, as they walked through the engineering section, Chief Engineer Sue Wilson approached them. "Your Highness, I heard Valyrians have mastered quantum folding technology. Is that true?" The princess nodded. "We have used it for several centuries." Sue looked excited. Would it be inappropriate to ask about how it works? We humans have only theoretical models." The princess looked at Olivia, who nodded encouragingly. Then the princess began explaining complex physics concepts in simplified terms. Sue listened with growing amazement, occasionally asking questions that showed her deep understanding. Word spread quickly that the princess was willing to share some Valyrian knowledge. More crew members began seeking them out. Engineers, scientists, and even the ship's historian wanted to learn from her. Commander Johnson called Olivia to her office after seeing the growing interaction. "Lieutenant, this cultural exchange is working better than expected. The princess seems to be integrating." "Well, yes, Commander," Olivia replied. "She's very adaptable and genuinely interested in humans." Johnson nodded. "But remember, this arrangement is temporary. The Valyrian delegation will return to their homeworld eventually. Don't get too attached. This is still about diplomacy and potential technology exchange." Olivia felt a strange twinge at those words. She had begun to enjoy the princess's company. Their conversations had become the highlight of her days. The thought of the Valyrians leaving made her realize how accustomed she had grown to Lyran's presence. That evening, as they prepared for sleep, Olivia found the courage to ask a question that had been on her mind. "How long will your delegation stay on the Celestial Dawn?" The princess was quiet for a moment. "My father originally planned for 1 Earth month, but I have requested an extension. I told him there is much more to learn." Olivia felt relieved, though she tried not to show it. "And he agreed." The princess' skin shifted to a pattern Olivia had never seen before. "He did not want to. But our scientists are very interested in what we have observed here. My father cannot ignore their recommendations." "What are they observing exactly?" Olivia asked. The princess moved to sit beside Olivia. "Many things, Lieutenant. Your technology, of course, but also your people. How you interact, how you build community despite your differences. It is fascinating to species as old as mine. We have become so set in our ways that we have forgotten how to change." Ambassador Zorith watched his daughter from across the ship's dining area. His aides leaned close, speaking in low tones. The princess spends too much time with the humans, one said. She even adopts their mannerisms now. Another added, the joke has gone too far. What began as a small rebellion has become concerning. The ambassador's skin darkened. My daughter has always been stubborn, but this fascination with humans will pass. The genetic research is what matters. Our scientists must complete their studies before we return home. Meanwhile, Olivia was introducing the princess to Earth music in their quarters. The sound of classical piano filled the room as the princess closed her eyes, listening intently. The mathematics in this music is beautiful, she said when the piece ended. Yet it also creates emotion. How do humans connect logic and feeling so naturally? Olivia smiled. We don't see them as separate. I guess math and science can be passionate pursuits, just like art can be precise and structured. The princess opened her eyes. Your species is full of contradictions. You fight wars yet create such beauty. You can be cruel but also deeply kind. These contradictions should make you weak, but somehow they make you stronger. Later that week, the ship received a transmission from Valerian. High Command Ambassador Zorith was summoned to an urgent meeting, leaving the princess aboard the Celestial Dawn. With her father gone, Lyran seemed more relaxed, more willing to explore the ship and engage with the crew. She asked Olivia to show her how humans trained and exercised. They spent time in the physical training room where the princess watched in fascination as humans lifted weights, ran on treadmills, and practiced combat moves. Your bodies are so different from ours, Lyran observed. We focus on mental discipline, but physical strength has become less important over millennia. Olivia demonstrated a simple self-defense technique. Would you like to try? The princess hesitated, then nodded. After several awkward attempts, she began to grasp the movements her natural grace made up for her lack of physical strength. Olivia found herself standing close, guiding the princess' arms into the correct positions. Their eyes met briefly, and something passed between them. Something neither could quite name. The princess' skin shifted to a deep rose color, a shade Olivia had never seen before. Later, Olivia asked Officer Page about the color change. Page smiled knowingly. From what I've learned about Valerians, that particular color is rare. It's associated with deep emotional connection, usually only seen in their ancient poetry and art. Olivia tried to sound casual. What kind of emotional connection? Page gave her a meaningful look, the kind that transcends diplomatic arrangements. Lieutenant. That night, as they prepared for sleep, the princess seemed unusually quiet. Olivia worried she had somehow offended her. Is everything all right? Your Highness. The princess looked up, her large eyes reflecting the dim light. When my father returns, he will likely insist we conclude our mission. Here Olivia felt her heart sink. So you'll be leaving? Yes, unless the princess stopped herself. Unless, what Olivia asked, moving closer. The princess' skin shifted through several colors before settling. The Calarvra ritual is more than just a cultural exchange, Lieutenant. In ancient times, it was a bonding ceremony, a way to forge lasting connections between different worlds, different peoples. What kind of connections? Olivia asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The princess moved closer still. Those of mutual understanding, shared purpose, and she hesitated, personal attachment. The air between them seemed charged with unspoken words. The princess reached out one slender hand, her fingers gently touching Olivia's arm. The sensation was unlike anything Olivia had experienced, warm and somehow resonant, as if the touch created music only they could hear on the bridge. Commander Johnson received a priority message from Alliance Command. The Valerian High Council had approved expanded diplomatic relations based on the success of the cultural exchange. The Celestial Dawn was to become a permanent joint mission vessel with a mixed human and Valerian crew. Johnson read the message twice, hardly believing what it said. This small experiment, this arrangement that had begun as a royal prank, had somehow blossomed into something that might change the course of both their species. The starship Celestial Dawn moved slowly through the empty space. Lieutenant Olivia Mason looked at the stars through the big window. Her job at this faraway place was a punishment because she questioned orders during the last battle. but she now liked being alone. Olivia touched her short red hair and took a deep breath. The message screen behind her made a noise breaking. "The quiet, Commander Johnson needs you in the meeting room." "Right now," said the urgent message. This is odd, Olivia thought. The celestial dawn almost never had visitors, especially in this forgotten part of space. She fixed her uniform and walked through the long hallways of the ship, wondering why she was needed. When she got to the meeting room, she saw it was full of tall, thin beings with skin that changed colors like rainbows on water. The Valerians, an old species known for their advanced technology and complex politics. They rarely talked to humans, thinking they were too simple and not worthy. Commander Johnson, a serious woman with gray hair, waved for Olivia to come closer. Lieutenant Mason, meet Ambassador Zorith from the Valerian High Council, and his group. Olivia nodded politely, trying to hide how confused she felt. The tallest Valerian stepped forward, his skin turning deep purple. "This is Princess Liren, my daughter, and third in line to be ruler behind him," stood a smaller Valerian, her skin a soft mix of blues and silvers. Her big almond-shaped eyes looked at Olivia with what seemed like interest. Ambassador continued, "We have come for the ancient ceremony of Kalervra. The princess has picked a worthy mate from your kind." Olivia blinked, confused. "Sir, I don't understand." Commander Johnson cleared her throat, looking very uncomfortable. "The ambassador has explained that Princess Liren has chosen a human mate for a cultural exchange. And that human is you, Lieutenant." Olivia felt like all the blood left her face. "What? But I..." The princess stepped forward, her voice musical with a strange accent. "I have watched your kind for many years. Your stories, your art, your ability to grow despite your limits interest me. I have chosen you." Commander Johnson whispered, "Lieutenant, this is a chance for diplomacy. We cannot say no. The Valerians have technology we badly need." What happened next was a blur of ceremonies and rules. Olivia learned that the other Valerian nobles were secretly laughing. The choice of a human, especially a low-ranking officer, was seen as a funny rebellion by the princess away, to embarrass her father who had pushed her into the Kalervra ritual. "They think I'm a joke," Olivia realized as she was taken to her new room now shared with the princess, a political prank that night. As Olivia lay awake looking at the ceiling, Princess Liren spoke softly from across the room. "They believe I chose you to cause trouble." She admitted, her skin changing to a soft shade of purple that Olivia would later learn meant honesty. "My father wanted me to pick Admiral Petrovsky, a human with high rank and power. But I have studied your kind. I wanted to make my own choice." Olivia turned to face her. "Why me?" The princess' eyes shining in the dim light answered, "Because unlike the others, you look beyond your own world. You question. You try to understand. These are qualities my people have forgotten." Several crew members watched from a distance as Olivia and Princess Liren walked through the ship gardens. The human lieutenant looked uncomfortable, but tried to be polite as she showed the alien princess the different earth plants growing in the controlled environment. "Do these grow on your home planet?" the princess asked, touching a small red flower with her long fingers. "Roses." "Yes, they do," Olivia answered. "They need special care, though. They have thorns that can hurt, but many think their beauty is worth the risk." The princess' skin shifted to a warm yellow. "I find that fascinating. The most beautiful things often come with danger." Later they sat in the ship's dining area. Olivia noticed how everyone stared at them. The human crew whispered among themselves, some looking curious, others seemed to be making jokes. Officer Paige Kelly approached their table with a friendly smile. "Mind if I join you?" Olivia felt relieved to see a friendly face. "Please do." Paige sat down and introduced herself to the princess. "I hope you're finding your stay comfortable." "Your Highness." The princess nodded. "I am learning much about humans. Your customs are different, but interesting." Paige smiled genuinely. "I've always been curious about Valerian culture. Is it true your cities float above the ground?" The princess seemed pleased by the question. "Yes. Our buildings use anti-gravity technology developed thousands of years ago. Our oldest structures have been floating for millennia as they talked more. Crew members gradually joined their table. The initial awkwardness slowly melted away. Olivia watched as the princess answered questions, patiently explaining aspects of her world. While some humans remained, distant others showed real interest after the meal as they walked back to their shared quarters. Olivia felt a little more at ease. Maybe this strange arrangement could work after all, but that night Commander Johnson called Olivia to her private office. Lieutenant, I need to be clear about something. This arrangement with the princess is not just a cultural exchange. The Alliance needs this alliance with the Valerians. Their technology could change everything for us. Whatever personal feelings you have, you must make this work. Olivia stood straight. Yes, Commander. But may I ask why they chose our ship? Why me specifically? Commander Johnson sighed. The Valerians requested you by name. They have been observing us for years. The princess, apparently, reviewed thousands of human profiles before selecting you. We don't know why, but it's clear this isn't random back in her quarters. Olivia found the princess looking at a small device that projected three-dimensional images of Earth, cities, mountains, oceans. Your world has such variety, Lyrian said without looking up. So much chaos and beauty mixed together. It's very different from Valir. Olivia sat across from her. I still don't understand why you're really here. Why choose a human? Why me? The princess finally turned off the device and looked directly at Olivia. My people are very old, Lieutenant. We have lived so long that we have forgotten how to truly live. We have technology beyond your imagination, but we have lost something essential. Something. I believe humans still possess. What is that? Olivia asked. The princess' skin shifted through several colors before settling on a deep blue. The ability to adapt, to change. To feel deeply. I chose you because in all my research you showed these qualities. More than most, you questioned orders when they conflicted with your values. You sought understanding rather than blind obedience. These are traits. My people need. Olivia wasn't sure how to respond to that. The weight of this cultural exchange suddenly felt much heavier. Outside their quarters, a group of officers whispered about the strange pair. I heard the princess picked her as some kind of joke, said one. Their nobles are laughing about it. Another shook her head. I don't know. The way the princess looks at her. It's like she's studying her for something important. Maybe we're all part of some alien experiment, suggested a third, as the ship lights dimmed for the night cycle. Olivia lay in her bed, acutely aware of the alien princess across the room. The stars outside the viewport seemed to watch them both as the celestial dawn continued its silent journey through the vast emptiness of space. Neither human nor Valerian, yet aware of how their unusual meeting would change both their species forever. Ambassador Zorth returned to the celestial dawn with unexpected news. The ship would travel to Valerian space as part of the expanded diplomatic mission. Olivia found herself appointed as the official human liaison to the Valerian royal family, a position created specifically for her. The news spread quickly through the ship. Crew members congratulated Olivia, some genuinely happy. For her, others clearly jealous of her sudden promotion. Officer Page found Olivia in the ship's garden. Quite a change in fortune, Lieutenant. Or should I say Ambassador Mason. Now Olivia shook her head. I'm not an ambassador, just a liaison. Whatever that means. I still don't understand why all this is happening. Page sat beside her on a bench. The Valerians requested. You specifically. Again, the princess must have made quite an impression on her father. Olivia looked around, making sure they were alone. Can I tell you something strange? Page. Of course. Something is happening with the princess. Sometimes when we're alone, she starts to explain things about the real reason they're here. But then she stops like she's afraid to tell me. I feel like there's something important. I'm not being told. Page considered this carefully. Valerians are known for their complex politics. Maybe she's caught between factions. Maybe there's more to this mission than a cultural exchange. Olivia nodded. That's exactly what I think. But what? Their conversation was interrupted by a ship-wide announcement. All senior officers were called to the main conference room for a special briefing. Olivia. As the new liaison was included, when she arrived, Commander Johnson stood beside Ambassador Zorth and Princess Lyraean. Several Valyrian scientists were also present, their skin patterns shifting in rapid complex sequences that Olivia had learned indicated excitement or anxiety. Commander Johnson began. This briefing is classified Level 1. The information shared here does not leave this room. She nodded to Ambassador Zorith. The ambassador stepped forward, his tall frame imposing. For centuries, the Valyrian Empire has been facing a crisis, one we have kept hidden from other species. Our population is declining. Our birth rates have fallen to critical levels. Despite our advanced technology, we have been unable to solve this problem, one of the scientists continued. Our reproductive capacity has been affected by our own evolution and technological advancement. We have extended our lifespans to near immortality, but at a cost. The same. Genetic modifications that allow us to live for centuries have damaged our ability to reproduce. Olivia glanced at the princess, who was watching her reaction carefully. The ambassador continued. We have studied many species searching for genetic compatibility. That might help us solve this crisis. Humans are the most promising we have found. Your genetic structure, while primitive in many ways, has remarkable adaptability and resilience qualities our species has lost. Commander Johnson added, the Alliance has agreed to a joint research program. Volunteer human genetic material will be studied by Valyrian scientists in exchange for technology sharing. After the meeting, Olivia found herself alone with Princess Lyraean in their quarters. Her mind was spinning with the implications of what she'd heard. So this is the real reason for the Kalervra ritual, Olivia said quietly. It wasn't about cultural exchange at all. It was about finding genetic donors. The princess' skin shifted to the violet shade of honesty. Yes, the ritual has evolved over millennia. Once it was truly about diplomatic bonds. Now it has become a way to identify potential genetic compatibility. Olivia felt a confusing mix of emotions. Part of her felt used, but another part understood the desperation of a species facing extinction. So you chose me because of my genes. The princess moved closer. I chose you initially because your genetic profile showed unusual compatibility. Yes. But Olivia, she used her name for the first time. What has grown between us is not about genetics. Before Olivia could respond, her communication device beeped. Medical Officer Beth Martinez requested her presence in the medical bay immediately. When Olivia arrived, Beth was reviewing data on multiple screens. Her expression was intense, focused. Lieutenant, you need to see this. Beth pointed to a complex genetic map. These are your genetic markers compared to standard human baseline. Olivia looked at the display, not understanding what she was seeing. I'm not a geneticist, doctor. What am I looking at? Beth highlighted several sections. These variations are extremely unusual. I've never seen anything like them. They appear to be naturally occurring, but they're unlike anything in our database. She looked at Olivia with wonder. Did you know you have completely unique genetic markers? Olivia shook her head. No, I mean I had standard military genetic screening, but nothing unusual was ever mentioned. Beth nodded. That screening is basic. This is deep sequencing. The Valyrians requested it as part of the research program. And she hesitated almost apologetically. I'm not supposed to show you this, but I thought you should know. The Valyrians are very interested in your specific genetic code, not just human, genetics in general. Yours later that day, Olivia confronted the princess in their quarters. The truth, Lyraean. Please, no more half-explanations. Why did you really choose me? The princess was silent for a long moment, her skin cycling through multiple colors, before finally settling on the violet of complete truth. Our scientists identified your genetic sequence 5 years ago during a routine scan of Earth communications. Your military profile was in a database we accessed. Your DNA contains markers that are incredibly rare. Almost like missing pieces to our genetic puzzle. 5 years, Olivia whispered. You've been watching me for 5 years. The princess nodded. We observed your career, your decisions, your interactions. I needed to know if the person matched the genetics. Compatibility is about more than DNA, Lieutenant. It is about spirit as well. Olivia tried to process this information. So my assignment to this remote outpost was arranged, the princess admitted. Our influence with your alliance leaders is significant. They did not know why we requested your placement here, only that it would benefit diplomatic relations. Olivia felt anger rising. You manipulated my entire career. No, the princess said firmly. We created an opportunity. The choice to question orders during the Centauri conflict was yours. The strength to stand by your principles was yours. We merely ensured you were assigned here, where the Calèvre could take place. Before Olivia could respond, a medical emergency alert sounded through the ship. A Valyrian scientist had collapsed in the research lab. When they arrived, Medical Officer Beth was already treating the alien. Her movements urgent. His life signs are failing. Beth said, I don't understand the readings. Well enough. The princess stepped forward, moved by the emergency. Allow me to assist, together. Beth and the princess stabilized the scientist, Beth watching in amazement as Lyran manipulated equipment with practiced skill. Later, as the crisis passed, Beth pulled Olivia aside. The princess has medical training, she's royal. Olivia said they're trained in many fields. Beth shook her head. This was more than basic training. She knew exactly what to do with complex procedures. The Valyrians aren't just here for our genetics, Lieutenant. They're studying us, learning everything they can. That night, as they prepared for sleep, Olivia asked the question that had been burning in her mind since the briefing. What happens if your research is successful? If you find a way to save your species using human genetics. The princess looked at her with those large almond-shaped eyes. Then both our species would be forever linked. A part of humanity would live on in future generations of Valyrians. Our gratitude would be eternal. The technology we would share would advance your species by centuries. And what about us, Olivia? Asked the question, surprising even herself. What about this connection between us? Is that just part of your research too? The princess moved closer until she stood directly before Olivia. Do you believe I could spend so much time with you, learn so much about you, and feel nothing? Lieutenant. Olivia's heart raced as the princess reached out, one slender hand gently touching her face. The contact sent a strange, pleasant warmth through her skin. Among my people, the princess said softly, the Calèvre bond is sacred, even when entered for political reasons, or in my case as a rebellion against my father's wishes. But what has grown between us is something my people have not experienced in generations, something genuine, something unexpected. The ship's lights dimmed automatically for night cycle, casting the room in soft shadows. I chose you for your genetics. Yes, the princess admitted, but I stay for who you are. Days later, Ambassador Zorith requested a private meeting with Olivia. She entered his quarters nervously. The room was arranged with strange crystals and light patterns that made her feel slightly disoriented. Lieutenant Mason, the ambassador began. My daughter has always been willful. Even as a child, she questioned our traditions, our ways, but I have never seen her as committed to anything as she is to this bond with you. Olivia remained silent, unsure how to respond. You must understand, the ambassador continued, that while this research is vital to our species, the Calèvre bond is not something we take lightly. If the genetic compatibility proves viable, you and my daughter would be linked in ways your human mind may not comprehend. Sir, Olivia finally spoke. I'm still trying to understand all of this. The princess means a great deal to me, but this has all happened so quickly. The ambassador's skin shifted to a color Olivia had never seen before. Time moves differently when your species lives for centuries, Lieutenant. What seems quick to you is but a moment to us, yet in that moment my daughter has changed. Her connection to you has altered her in ways The celestial dawn entered Valyrian space 3 weeks later. Olivia stood on the observation deck watching as strange, beautiful planets came into view. The Valyrian homeworld was unlike anything she'd ever seen. Massive floating cities hovered above a surface covered in iridescent forests and crystal lakes. Princess Lyrian stood beside her. My home, she said simply. It's beautiful. Olivia whispered. The princess nodded, but her skin had shifted to a deep blue, that Olivia now recognized as sadness. It is beautiful but dying. Our population has declined so much that many cities stand empty. Our children are so rare that each birth is celebrated across the Empire. As they prepared to dock at the main orbital station, Commander Johnson briefed the human crew. Remember, this is a historic moment. The first human vessel invited into the heart of Violerian territory. Your behavior reflects on all humanity. The reception at the station was elaborate. Violerian dignitaries lined the walkways, their skin shifting in formal patterns that indicated respect and welcome. Olivia walked beside Princess Lyraean, feeling the weight of countless eyes upon them. One Valyrian taller even than Ambassador Zorth approached. The Emperor himself, Olivia realized. As everyone, including the ambassador, bowed deeply, she quickly followed suit. Rise. The Emperor said, his voice resonating strangely. So this is the human who has captured my granddaughter's interest. He studied Olivia with ancient eyes. Welcome to Valor, Lieutenant Mason. Thank you, Your Majesty. Olivia managed to reply. The formal reception continued for hours. Olivia was introduced to countless nobles, scientists, and officials. Many looked at her with open curiosity, others with barely disguised disdain. She caught fragments of conversations in the Valyrian language which her translator implant rendered imperfectly. Did she really choose a human? The royal line lowering itself. Desperate measures. Princess Lyraean remained close, seeming to sense Olivia's discomfort. Finally, they were escorted to private quarters within the royal palace, a vast chamber with views of the floating city spreading out below them. You did well, the princess said. The first meeting with the imperial court is challenging even. For Valyrians, Olivia sank into a chair exhausted. I felt like a specimen under examination. The princess smiled, a gesture she'd adopted from humans. You are in many ways, but you showed strength. They respect that. The next days were filled with meetings, medical examinations, and cultural ceremonies. Olivia was studied, questioned, and tested in ways that sometimes felt invasive, but Princess Lyraean remained her constant ally, explaining, advocating, and sometimes intervening when the scientists or nobles went too far. One evening, as they walked through the palace gardens illuminated by floating lights that drifted like fireflies, Lyraean explained more about her people's situation. For 10,000 years we have ruled this sector of space. Our technology allowed us to extend our lives, eliminate disease, enhance our minds. But about 5 centuries ago we noticed the decline in births. At first it seemed minor, a statistical anomaly, but each generation produced fewer children. She led Olivia to a quiet alcove where crystal flowers glowed softly. Our scientists tried everything. Genetic manipulation, artificial gestation, cloning. Nothing worked. In fact, some attempts made the problem worse. We realized too late that our pursuit of perfection had led us to an evolutionary dead end. Olivia looked around at the breathtaking beauty of the garden. All this advancement, and you couldn't solve the problem. The princess touched one of the crystal flowers. It shimmered in response. Sometimes, the solution cannot be found within. Sometimes it must come from outside. Our oldest prophecies speak of renewal coming from the stars. Many dismissed these as primitive myths, but some of us began to wonder. Before Olivia could respond, a loud explosion shook. The garden alarms blared throughout the palace. Guards rushed toward them. We must get you to safety, the lead guard told the princess. Rebels have breached the outer defenses. Rebels, Olivia asked, as they were hurried through hidden passages. Valyrians who oppose any genetic blending with other species, the princess explained. They believe purity must be maintained even if it means our extinction. They reached a secure chamber deep within the palace. Ambassador Zorth was already there, his skin a dark gray indicating extreme distress. Is the Emperor safe? Lyraean asked immediately. Yes, daughter. But there are casualties. The research wing was targeted. The rebels knew exactly where to strike. Olivia's blood ran cold. The medical lab where her genetic samples were being studied. Dr. Beth and several human scientists had been working there. I need to find my crew members, Olivia said. Too dangerous. the ambassador replied. The palace is in lockdown. Olivia stood her ground. With respect, Ambassador, those are my people. I can't abandon them. The princess stepped forward. I will go with her, father. We can use the royal passages. The ambassador looked as if he might refuse, but finally nodded. Take 2 guards, and daughter, be careful, armed with Valyrian weapons. That Olivia had never seen before, they made their way through hidden corridors. The princess moved with surprising speed and confidence. You know the palace well, Olivia observed. I explored every passage as a child, the princess replied. Much to my father's dismay, when they reached the research wing, they found destruction. Guards and medical staff lay injured. The laboratory had been nearly destroyed, equipment shattered, and specimens ruined. Olivia searched frantically for the human team. Relief flooded her when she found Dr. Beth helping injured Valyrians. She had a cut on her forehead but seemed otherwise unharmed. Beth. What happened? Olivia asked, helping her bandage a wounded guard. They came out of nowhere. Beth said. They knew exactly what to target. They destroyed specific research samples, including yours. The princess moved quickly through the lab, checking various storage units. Her skin had turned a pale white that Olivia had never seen before. They took them. She set her voice tight. They took the primary genetic samples, including yours, Olivia, and the preliminary bonding formulas. What does that mean? Olivia asked, helping another injured scientist to a chair. It means, the princess said, that they now have everything they need to either complete our work or ensure it never succeeds. Palace security forces arrived in greater numbers, securing the area and treating the wounded. Commander Johnson appeared, looking relieved to find Olivia and Beth safe. Lieutenant, the commander said, we need to get our people back to the ship. The situation is unstable. We can't leave. Olivia said, these people need our help. And the research. Johnson lowered her voice. The Alliance is concerned about potential political fallout. If these rebels are opposed to human involvement, we might be making things worse by staying. Before Olivia could argue, another explosion rocked the palace closer this time. The lights flickered. The palace defense systems are being overridden. The princess said, her skin shifting rapidly through patterns of alarm. We must reach the emergency command center. They fought their way through corridors now filled with smoke and confused palace staff. The princess led them using routes that seemed to be known to few in the command center. They found chaos. The emperor stood surrounded by advisors as reports flooded in. Granddaughter, he acknowledged Lorraine and Lieutenant Mason. The rebels have control of the North Quadrant and the genetic repository. They claim they will destroy all research before allowing our species to be polluted. The princess stepped forward. Grandfather, I request permission to lead a recovery team. The emperor looked surprised. You are not trained for combat. Lyrian, I know the research better than anyone, she countered, and I know what we are looking for. The emperor considered, then nodded. Permission granted, but he looked at Olivia. You will need your human ally. Their genetics are at stake as well. Olivia turned to Commander Johnson. Sir, I volunteer. Johnson hesitated, then nodded but said, Lieutenant, this goes beyond your duties. This is not an order. I understand, Olivia replied. But I need to do this. They assembled a small team, including 2 human security officers and 3 Valyrian royal guards. The princess changed into combat gear, a sight that surprised Olivia. You know how to fight? Olivia asked as they prepared. The princess checked a weapon that glowed with strange energy. All royal children are trained in combat. We rarely need to use these skills, but the training is thorough. Their plan was simple but dangerous. Using the princess' knowledge of hidden passages, they would infiltrate the North Quadrant, locate the stolen research, and recover it, while the main palace forces created a diversion as they moved through dark, narrow corridors. Olivia felt her heart racing. This was far beyond her usual duties, but something drove her forward. Something beyond duty or diplomacy. The thought of the princess, her people, facing extinction, and the strange bond that had grown between them. They encountered the first rebels in a small junction chamber. The fight was brief but intense. Valyrian weapons fired pulses of energy that incapacitated rather than killed the rebels fell back, allowing the team to advance. When they reached the genetic repository, they found it heavily guarded. 6 rebels protected the entrance, their weapons ready. We need a distraction, Olivia whispered. The princess nodded then to Olivia's. Surprise removed a small device from her belt. When activated, this will disrupt their neural patterns temporarily. It will affect all Valyrians in range, including me. But Olivia began. There is no time to argue. The princess pressed the device into Olivia's hand. When I give the signal, activate it, then get to the main storage unit. Your genetic samples have a quantum marker. You will recognize them. Before Olivia could protest further, the princess stepped. The Imperial Assembly Hall was filled with thousands of Valyrians, their skin shifting in patterns that reflected tension, curiosity, and hope. Olivia stood beside Princess Lyran at the foot of the Emperor's elevated platform. The entire human delegation from the Celestial Dawn was present, including Commander Johnson, Dr. Beth, and Officer Page. The Emperor rose, his ancient form somehow both frail and powerful at once. For 10,000 years, we have ruled the stars. He began, his voice carrying effortlessly through the vast chamber. For 10,000 years, we have believed ourselves to be the pinnacle of evolution. But pride comes before a fall. He gestured toward Olivia and the princess. My granddaughter went to the humans as part of what many considered a political rebellion, a royal prank. Some laughed when she chose a low-ranking officer instead of an admiral or diplomat. But the princess saw something the rest of us missed. She saw hope. A murmur ran through the assembly. The rebel attack has shown us the danger of clinging to old ways, the Emperor continued. They would rather see our civilization die than change. They would choose extinction over adaptation. He motioned for Lorraine and Olivia to approach. Our scientists have confirmed that the genetic compatibility between my granddaughter and this human is unprecedented. The research recovered from the rebels shows a path forward, one that could save our species. The crowd stirred, some skins darkening in disapproval, others brightening with hope. The Emperor raised his hands for silence. I call for a vote of the Imperial Assembly. Shall we proceed with the genetic bonding program between our species? A program that begins with my granddaughter and Lieutenant Olivia Mason of Earth Chaos. Erupted Valyrian nobles shouted arguments, their skin flashing in rapid, complex patterns. The princess stood calmly while Olivia felt overwhelmed by the intensity of the debate. Finally, a voting system activated. Lights appeared above each Valyrian, shifting between colors as votes were cast. The process took nearly an hour. The Emperor waited patiently. When the final tally appeared, a hush fell over the assembly by a margin of 7%. The Emperor announced the assembly approves the program. What followed was a blur of activity. The princess led Olivia away from the chamber to a quiet room where they could speak privately. You understand what this means? Lorraine said, her skin shifting to the violet of complete honesty. Olivia took a deep breath. I think so, but I want to hear it from you. The princess moved closer. The genetic bonding program is more than just research. It begins with a real bonding. A child. Olivia. A child created from your genetics and mine. The first of its kind in the history of our species. Olivia felt dizzy with the implications. A child, but how modern science, the princess explained. Our technology can create life from genetic material without traditional reproduction. But she hesitated. The Kalevra ritual traditionally involves a deep connection between the participants, one that goes beyond politics or science. Before Olivia could respond, Ambassador Zorth entered the room. The Emperor requests your presence in the sacred chambers, he announced. Both of you. The sacred chambers were unlike anything Olivia had seen before. Ancient technology blended with what appeared to be ceremonial spaces. Crystal formations pulsed with living light. Scientists and priests worked side by side. The Emperor stood before a glowing pool of liquid that shifted colors in patterns similar to Valyrian skin. Lieutenant Mason. He said, you have a choice before you. The Assembly has approved the program, but I will not force this upon you. It must be your decision. freely made. Olivia looked at the princess whose skin had become completely still, showing no shifting patterns at all, a sign of intense emotion. "What exactly am I choosing?" Sir Olivia asked. The Emperor gestured to the pool. "This is the wellspring of life, the most sacred place in our empire. For millennia it has been used to preserve and strengthen the royal lineage. Our scientists have modified it to accept your genetic material. If you consent, a child will be created from the genetic material of both you and my granddaughter, a child that will carry the future of both our species." Olivia felt overwhelmed. But the child would be Valyrian, not human, both, and neither. The Emperor said this would be a new kind of being, one that carries the best of both worlds: human adaptability and resilience, Valyrian longevity and wisdom. Olivia turned to the princess. "What do you want, Lyran?" The princess stepped closer, her skin finally shifting to the deep rose color of emotional connection. "I chose you first for science, I admit that. But what has grown between us is real, Olivia. I would be honored to create a new life with you, a bridge between our worlds." Dr. Beth, who had been examining the Valyrian technology, approached. "This is incredible, Olivia. The genetic modifications they're making would ensure the child inherits the best traits from both species. The potential benefits for both humans and Valyrians are enormous," Commander Johnson added. "The Alliance has given provisional approval, Lieutenant. This could change everything. Our understanding of genetics, our relationship with the Valyrians, our future in the galaxy." Olivia took a deep breath, looking from the princess to the Emperor, to her fellow humans, and back to the sacred pool. "When I was assigned to that remote outpost, I thought my career was over," she said quietly. "I never imagined I would be standing here making a decision that could affect two entire species." She turned to the princess. "When you first came aboard the Celestial Dawn, I thought I was just a prank, a joke at your father's expense." The princess' skin rippled with emotion. "It began that way, yes, but it became something much more." Olivia nodded slowly. "I need to know one thing," she said to the princess. "If there was no genetic compatibility, if this wasn't about saving your species, would you still choose me?" The princess moved forward, taking Olivia's hands in her own slender fingers. The touch sent that now familiar warmth through Olivia's skin. "I would choose you in every reality, in every timeline, in every possible universe," the princess said, her skin glowing with the rose color more intensely than ever before. "Science brought us together, but something far stronger keeps us that way." Olivia looked into those large almond-shaped eyes and saw truth there. She turned to the Emperor. "I consent," she said simply. The ceremony that followed was ancient and beautiful. The princess and Olivia stood on opposite sides of the sacred pool. Scientists carefully added their genetic material modified to create perfect compatibility. The liquid in the pool began to glow brighter, swirling with patterns of light. The Emperor spoke words in the ancient Valyrian language that Olivia's translator could not fully render, something about stars joining, and new life and eternal bonds. When the ceremony was complete, a small crystal formed in the center of the pool. The scientists carefully removed it, explaining that it contained the combined genetic material, the beginning of a new life. It would be nurtured in special chambers until it was ready to develop into a child. A great celebration spread throughout the floating cities, Valyrians and humans coming together in a way that had never happened before. Officer Page found Olivia during the festivities. "So let me get this straight," she said with a smile. "You went from being punished with a remote assignment to becoming the mother of a brand new species. Not bad for a lieutenant." Olivia laughed, still feeling overwhelmed by it all. "When you put it that way, it does sound impossible." Ambassador Zorith approached them, his skin showing formal patterns of respect. "Lieutenant Mason," he said formally, "the Imperial family would be honored if you would consider remaining here on Valyr as part of the royal household." Olivia looked surprised. "But my duties to Earth," to the Alliance Commander Johnson, who had overheard, joined them. "The Alliance has approved an extended diplomatic assignment. Lieutenant, a permanent position as our representative. To the Valyrian Empire if you're willing. Olivia felt the weight of the decision. But before she could respond, Princess Lyraean appeared, her skin glowing with happiness. My father, the Alliance. These are all important considerations, she said. But perhaps, she took Olivia's hand, her touch warm and resonant. Perhaps you might also consider staying for other reasons. That night, Olivia stood on a balcony overlooking the magnificent floating city. The stars above seemed closer, somehow brighter. The princess joined her, their shoulders touching lightly. When I was a child, the princess said I used to look up at the stars and wonder if our salvation might come from them. My tutors said it was foolish, but I never stopped believing. Olivia smiled. I used to do the same thing. Look up at the stars and dream of adventure, of finding something meaningful out there. I never imagined it would find me instead. They stood in comfortable silence for a moment. What happens now? Olivia asked. The princess turned to her. Now we build a future. Not just for our child or our species, but for all who come after. The bridge between worlds begins with us. She gestured toward a distant building where a soft blue light glowed. In that chamber, our child grows. Already the scientists report the genetic bonding is successful, stronger than they predicted. Olivia felt a strange emotion knowing that a new life created partly from her was forming in that distant building. A child who would be neither fully human nor fully Valyrian, but something new. Something with the potential to change everything. They gave me to you as a joke, the princess said softly. But fate has a strange way of working. What began as a prank has become the salvation of my people.